What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Luc Besson film, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is directed by Luc Besson of The Fifth Element fame. It stars Dane DeHaan, Cara Delevingne, and Clive Owens. It tells the story of this sort of city planet known as Alpha that floats through the universe and is arguably the most important place in the universe because it is where almost every single species that exists has a population that lives. It was sort of created as sort of this major hub, and it has become the head of sort of this universal-esque government. But when a problem begins to form in the middle of Alpha itself, Valerian and Laureline, played by Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, are forced to go in and figure out who is causing this problem and stop them. Now, from every trailer that anyone has seen, I think it's blatantly obvious that the effects in this movie are breathtaking. Every single shot in this movie looks so amazing. All of the special effects are phenomenal. All of the big planets that they create, the different aliens, the settings, all of that stuff looks awesome. There's a really cool, like, almost hologram-esque sequence in the film that looks super dope. I've never seen anything like it before in a film, and I was really taken back by it because I didn't expect to see something so different and so innovative in this movie, but it was really cool. And then along with that, the practical effects in the film, because not every alien is full CGI. Some of them are practical, and all of the practical ones also look amazing. The whole movie looks really crisp, it sounds really crisp, the music is really good throughout it. Everything that is visually on the screen looks really great, and I was really pleased with that because Luc Besson didn't use 3D cameras to shoot this film, and I did see it in 3D. So yeah, there were a few scenes where maybe the green screen was a little weak, but all of the scenes that were full special effects all looked really great. It also has an extremely in-depth story that's very fleshed out. They don't really leave anything to the imagination sort of in the general storytelling, which I enjoyed. I'll get to sort of where the issue comes in with that later, but for the most part, this movie took the time to tell the audience what was going on so we could, for the most part, understand everything that was happening and why it was happening. And I enjoyed that because it really made you sort of feel like you were involved in this massive and expansive world that had been built in the film. The movie had really cool space combat along with some really cool firefights and hand-to-hand combat sequences that were all filmed really well by Besson. I think his direction is a really strong aspect of this film because not only just with the action scenes, but also he uses the camera in really interesting ways in a lot of sequences. He does a lot of really clever camera devices. It's sometimes for laughs, sometimes just for a really cool effect, and I was really impressed by that. And the effects are just so in-depth that there's one particular sequence that is all CGI. It's basically like a scene out of Avatar, sort of, how it was all CGI, but there were still actors portraying the characters. But it was like a dream state almost, how great it looked and how interesting it was, even though it was aliens and you didn't know what they were saying, but just the way they communicated with each other and trying to understand what was happening was such an interesting way of doing storytelling in the film. And then the performances in the movie were actually pretty good. I think that there's probably a lot of people that would go see this film and think that they were kind of weak, but I actually thought they were very endearing performances. Clive Owens does a good job as the commander, like the head of this military group, and then Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne both had really good chemistry with each other, which surprised me. Dane DeHaan has continued to sort of grow on me as a young talent in Hollywood. I really liked him in The Cure for Wellness. Even though The Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't a very good movie, I still liked his portrayal of Harry Osborn, and I think that he's sort of slowly kind of climbing that ladder of being a successful young talent, and I think that this movie just adds to that. He really sells it in the action sequences, and then along with that, his character is sort of a like tough guy who actually has like a soft center type of thing, and I thought that he did that really well. His line delivery was solid, and I enjoyed all of that, but Cara Delevingne was really the one that really surprised me because up to this point, she hasn't really done anything I think that's impressed many people in Hollywood. She hasn't starred in any role where anyone was like, wow, she's really talented. But this movie, she actually gives a really solid performance. She's funny, she lands sort of the deadpan comedy along with the sarcasm, and then to go along with that, she worked well in the action sequences, and like I said, her chemistry with Dane DeHaan was very visible on screen. Now, in terms of issues with the film, like I've stated, I think some people could see the performances as a little weak. I enjoyed them and I thought they worked really well, but I could understand how someone could view them that way. And then along with that, some of the green screen is a little iffy in sequences since the movie wasn't filmed with 3D cameras. It didn't really integrate the characters on a green screen as well. So while it doesn't ruin the scenes, it is just a little more obvious that it is a green screen sequence. Now, the biggest issue with this film is the script, and it's not that the script does a bad job of explaining things, it's sort of a strange double-edged sword situation, because the film gives a lot of exposition, which I think it gives a little too much, or at least it gives it in too dry of a manner sometimes, where it feels like they're literally just explaining something. But then on the other side of that sword, it feels like there wasn't enough exposition at times, and I needed to know more about the universe itself and what was going on to really fully grasp what was happening. So it was sort of a situation of what was there, for the most part worked well, but at times felt like dry just explaining to the audience. But there were other things that I felt still needed more explanation in the film, so I think what they needed to do was maybe spice up the exposition that was in the film a little bit more, trim a little bit of what was in there out that was sort of more unnecessary, and bring in a little bit more that we needed to know about the universe so the whole story could sort of resonate more with the audience. I'm gonna give Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets a B-. I can understand why this movie's kind of getting very mixed reviews. I think that it's a really gorgeous film to see in theaters. I enjoyed the two lead performances, and I think that if you're just a fan of sci-fi films, that you'd have a good time with it, because that's sort of how I felt when I left the theater. I wasn't like, this is better than The Fifth Element, because it's really hard for any science fiction movie to beat The Fifth Element. It's a great movie of a combination of comedy and action, but I did think that this movie was fun. It's a good time in theaters, especially for like a summer big budget movie. So if you like sci-fi, if you like those types of films, go check it out. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this review, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Valerian, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.